confident enough to say, you know what, to all of our students all over the world, it's now safe to come back on campus and take your fall classes. But make no mistake, they will find out some way to get this season done, which could mean the semifinals from the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and the national title game from Miami going on maybe as late as Memorial Day.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt, weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call!
What'd you make of the president getting asked about Joe Exotic?
Now, here's the only thing. Here's the only thing I don't like. I don't like the fact that Trump was lying to us
about
not having watched Tiger King.
Yeah, right. Come on.
You know, he's going through those things. Like, is that Joe Exotic? I'm like, yeah, you know.
Come on.
Come on, Mr. President. You know who Joe Exotic is.
Because everybody does.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call!
Wimbledon has been paying out $2 million every year for the past 17 years on insurance for a pandemic. And so,
that's disgusting.
Well, it's
$1 million.
horrific. So this is your trio of entertainment that you have to rank.
Yeah,
how much
easier
hierarchy
was it
you
for
choose?
them to cancel the tournament once knowing that?
The
Shame on me,
horse
because I thought it
event,
was grass.
the
I thought it was
WNBA draft.
Yeah, like you got to dry out
and
grass
the
in
Major
August
League Eating
or the
4
fall.
round
You can't hold
virtual
Wimbledon on
contest.
its grass
The
court.
competitive quarantine eating
know.
challenge.
So you're throwing out the last dance.
That boy and club.
Yeah, I mean, this is
$100+
way
million.
past any type of valued entertainment.
Sure. All in favor, say aye.
I mean, isn't that taking the easy one off the board?
So you got Major League Eating, WNBA draft, and horse.
Yeah, so Major
That's
League
easy.
Eating was 2 rounds so far. The first
Listen
round
to the Car Guru
was the 2 pounds of bologna. And then
calls every Saturday morning from
recently
7 to 8
was a
Eastern
4-screen
on Let's Talk
shot
Wheels, right
on their
here
YouTube
on
page
SB
of
Nation Radio.
some dude,
Join
Darren
Mike and Matt
Breeden,
as they
did it
talk
in 2
about
minutes and
everything
28
going
seconds.
on in the world of cars. To get more content on your
2
favorite
minutes and
team, you
28
can check out our
seconds.
friends at SBNation.com. They have team-specific sites to fit your
Oh
needs,
my
whether
goodness.
it's basketball, baseball,
You don't
NFL,
even
or
have
the school you
it's
graduated
39
from.
Oreos in a
SB
pack.
Nation has
You did
you
the math.
covered. If business, pleasure,
Used to
or
be
sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas,
45.
Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio,
But after,
check out
supersized,
culturemap.com
they
to get
ruined
the scoop
everything.
on the local favorites. From the
They
best
dropped it.
restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, Culture Map has it all. Just head over to culturemap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free Culture Map updates at culturemap.com.
SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
What event do you think you'd have any chance of actually getting done? I'm trying to think. I would probably have to learn how to do one of those shooting events. I was never going to be able to do the javelin. I never could have done the shot put. I'm scared of heights, so I damn sure wasn't going to try to do the pole vault and jump over something 20 feet in the air. I don't know that there was anything I could have done. Like the swimming, no. I damn sure wasn't
Feel bad
diving
for
unless
them?
we could have done a
I don't
cannonball
know.
off
I
the
feel
top
like-
of the platform. I'm not diving
we
in
already
the
know
water
that?
and flipping around like a
Oh,
maniac.
man, please.
You know what?
Thank
Maybe
you.
if I
Thank
trained
you.
for like a year, I might have a shot to play some ping pong
This
against
is
somebody.
the.
Although actually,
We haven't
no.
even began the
Those
show.
dudes
This
are
is
like
the comedy
40
of the day
feet off
so
the
far.
table, and they're
That show has gone completely.
and that thing's like
It's worse.
The
I
ball's
can't
just
believe I'm
flying
saying
everywhere.
this because
I
I
could
was
never do
enraged
that
by
either.
it,
So I don't think
but
there's
it's
anything
worse of
I
a
can
drop
do in
off
the
than
Olympics.
Game of Thrones.
SB Nation Tonight.
I can't
Nights at 10
imagine
Eastern
somebody
on
can
SB
ruin a show
Nation
like
Radio. Bub Phillips, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers. Experience 1970s
something
football
about
with
TV
Red,
now
White,
where
and Columbia
Black-
Blue.
it happened
The
in
new
Black
audio
Mirror.
book at Houston79.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979
Last night
Houston
was the
Oilers
worst
season,
episode of the
featuring
entire
player
series.
interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys,
Season
and
one was
relive one of the most
genius.
controversial plays ever. The
I think
Mike
season
Renfro
two,
play. Red, White, and
when we
Columbia
look back
Blue.
on it,
Download
and if
now
you
at
just watch-
Houston79.com.
Yeah, I agree. Season 2 was great. I think season 2 gets a lot of heat.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto
But-
Parts for our spring break deals on lawn and garden batteries, wiper
I gotta
blades,
credit
brake kits, and more.
Mullen
Ready
for
for an
writing
oil
this,
change? Get 5 parts of Valvoline
does
conventional
feel
or
like
Max Life motor oil and a microgard
the
filter
show
for
itself, like the
$28.99.
showrunners
Plus,
and
get a
people
$7
involved
gift card
show
after mail-in rebate.
thought that
O'Reilly
they
Auto
were going to
Parts.
have
better
a
parts,
couple of
better
more
prices
seasons,
every
and
day.
HBO said, this is it. So they're like, all right, let's just strip this thing and make it as stupid and dumb as possible. Oh, they couldn't understand it.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. On SB Nation Radio,
And on SBNationRadio.com.
where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
So one of the things that pops from The Last Dance isn't anything that you saw on screen. It's not anything that's been discussed. My goodness, did we really need to reopen that Band-Aid of LeBron versus MJ? It's nothing that you saw or heard, and we've got plenty to look back on that documentary last night. And thankfully, we actually had something of value on television. In fact, this hour, we're going to compare. It's right there in front of you. We're going to compare value on TV and actually force you to choose 3 products of lesser value that you were forced to watch or at least suffer through on social media. But one of the things that pops from this documentary, and I'm laughing because we were talking about this on Twitch right before the show began, is now all of you either forced to remember through body and mind alike, or it's brand new to you because you've been binging everything humanly possible, but you actually have to wait. You actually have to sit back and wait a week for this thing to pop with more episodes. You have remember that? I know it's almost like remember going outside, remember shaking hands, remember a bus station, an airport, a train station, remember having to wait 7 days for your show. Now, the difference is I'm still going through a brutal loop, no pun intended, waiting a week for shows like Westworld to come back and disappoint me. The good news here is that we can all wait collectively, and there'll be these nuggets and these little sprinkles of audio or video that will thread throughout the week to kind of keep us in lock, even though we're quarantined and shut in. So it's not like we're turning to anything else. In fact, when you see the other options of what you had last week, you won't turn anywhere else but The Last Dance. I just think it's hilarious that people are experiencing this reawakening, this travesty of having to wait a week. At least you won't be disappointed. That's the best thing about this. You know exactly what's coming. Me, on the contrary, I have to wait 7 days for HBO to ruin a really good show as they continue to drive it into the ground. Jordan, next.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During the challenging times we're all experiencing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that'll never change is our commitment to giving you the best mortgage experience. At Rocket Mortgage, our guiding philosophy of every
we can
client,
run both of
every
those
time,
cuts
no
here.
exceptions, no excuses.
Okay,
For times like right now, we understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help.
Let's do
If
the
you currently
Jordan
work
one
with us
first.
and need assistance with your mortgage, contact us 24/7 at rocketmortgage.com. As we all think about ways to save money, let me remind you that mortgage rates are near historic lows. If you think right now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Number 3030.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it
This
cost?
Niners thing was this
Well,
morning,
it'll
no?
cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait?
I
Go
guess
to
we should talk about that, huh?
besthotelrates.com, enter your email address.
Niners open to
besthotelrates.com. It's in the
opening
name.
up the market for 13.
besthotelrates.com.
Not anything like
I owe
shattering.
the
but-
IRS $10,000. The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a
right,
lien
so
on my house.
3,
The IRS is the
9,
most
and
powerful
12,
collection
right?
agency in the world. They do not
Okay.
tell you.
And you, I
pay.
assume you
couldn't
watched it
sleep. We were being
live?
audited. I called
Is
tax.
it what? It's 8 o'clock for you, right?
No, I didn't watch it live.
Okay.
I call tax.
When did you watch
Solutions
it?
Now, and they
I started it at about 9:30.
Garnish
Oh, after
48 hours.
So did you? Okay, so you watched it last night. Okay,
Stop the pain and get
that's
you the
basically
best
what I
deal.
was trying to
We connect you with a
deduce.
team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who will get the IRS. off
I have
your
more
back.
questions, but I'm saving them for on the air.
I'll have more answers.
I'm
Call
sure
Tax
you do.
Solutions now. Time is running out. Call.
Do you have any
800-296-9744.
insight on the favorite for round 3, baked beans? Joey Chestnut is minus 500.
800-296-9744.
Who's he going up against?
No, it's just
296
everybody up for themselves.
9744.
It's the same thing. Everybody eats the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So that's where you get the whole 10 pounds thing.
What's happening?
Baked beans.
10 pounds of baked beans.
That's a lot of.
That's disgusting.
You got to find the single guy. He'll do well.
I think they're all single.
Cars, trucks, and SUVs.
Isn't that a
And
safe
amazing
assumption here?
No, I think Joey Chestnut is married.
Is he really?
Might be.
1.125 gallons is equivalent to 10 pounds of baked beans. Woo! That's way too much, man.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
And now, I mean, is this not the most famous song associated? Forget the Bulls and forget NBA. Is this not the most famous song associated with sport?
Well, I would say it's associated with Bulls. I don't know anybody else who ever uses this.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. It's so synonymous with the Chicago Bulls, with the NBA. I mean, this is more synonymous, right?
That, and I think it was used in the movie Beer Fest.
Yeah, I bet you randomly around Hollywood and TV shows, like anything like this. This is awesome because it's the perfect example, right, of something that just is instantly synonymous with something. Like you think of Michael Jordan, you think of it now, right? In the entire
they played
lineup.
it last night.
It was
you
perfect.
saw it last night, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm getting the goosebumps.
Yes, absolutely. Now, do
You
you
know it's coming.
do you think they had it? When do you think that Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson realized that they created something? Like, when do you think they realized that this thing? Because this song came out well before in like the early '80s.
That's a good question.
But at
did they write it with Michael Jordan in mind?
No, they could not.
No,
have.
they did. They did.
He was in North Carolina. Well, they were thinking, all right, the PA announcer is going to say from North Carolina, so it works perfectly when you hit that hook. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think they originally wrote it for Sam Bowie.
And then everything went to hell because
But
they
everything-
drafted Jordan instead.
And no, I mean, they decided to go. They wanted the third pick. They had flipped a coin and said, we're going to write this song for the third pick. And they thought Sam Bowie would be the third pick, but it didn't work out
Instead,
that
everything
way.
messed up.
Yeah.
And it was Jordan.
Portland had to take Bowie.
Portland screws everything up, don't they? They can't get it right. Well, there it is. Alan Parsons, Eric Wolfson create a masterpiece. Now, granted, this was in London, so they must have had a strong eye on college basketball all the way across the pond, if you will.
They knew the American game.
Apparently. So
They
write
knew it.
this masterpiece for the Chicago Bulls. But that is, like, think about this. NBA on NBC theme. What's more popular? I think it's this. I think,
I
right?
can't even. I mean, I'm trying to think of the NBA on NBC.
Dun, dun,
right
dun,
now.
dun,
Yeah, no, I
dun,
know,
dun.
it took me a second, but if you played that one and you played this one, I would know that that's an NBA song. I wouldn't know if it's NBA on NBC.
Okay.
Now,
Let me
the Alan Parsons song, I would know immediately.
let me put your feet to the fire on this here.
Put it.
What's more popular?
Burn, baby, burn.
And I mean popular as far as you hear it and you instantly think of something sport related.
It's the final countdown.
What do you think of that?
Go, I don't know. I'm just naming it. Go ahead. What's your song?
Well, is that something that I'm missing? Is that sport? Does that play at the end of games, like going into the
No, I
final
don't
2
think so.
minutes of Rangers
I think,
games?
I think it plays. So some people will play it at the beginning.
Okay, just to start
beginning of a game.
Like I thought maybe going into the fourth quarter. What would be the more popular song? Would it be this, the Bulls introduction, or One Shining Moment?
I think
Tough, right?
I think the Bulls though.
I do too. And you know what? I put a poll on this earlier, I think maybe Friday or something. And it started out strong with One Shining Moment, but the more people voted, this song, the Bulls intro, took over. Now, some of it might be Prisoner of the Moment, but I think a lot of it was the popularity of this, and you immediately think of Bulls. Jordan.
Yeah, listen, I'm from LA. I'm far removed from Chicago. For us, I mean, it was played at Dodger Stadium. It was played at definitely at the Forum. Was I Love LA by Randy Newman.
Okay.
That song is usually a go-to. At some point, you'll hear it. Usually at the end as you're leaving.
Right.
They'll have that in the background, especially if they win. If they lose, they don't play anything. They just say, go home.
Okay. So,
but I know the Chicago Bulls song. Even growing up in LA, I knew that was the Chicago Bulls song that nobody else could play. You can't play that in another arena or stadium across America. Maybe in high school you can.
Well, that's it.
But you can't play, like the Staples Center can't use that song to introduce LeBron James and Anthony Davis, as well as the Clippers can't do it to announce Kawhi Leonard or Paul George.
Think about it. It's retired. It's equivalent of numbers retired in the rafters. You can't use this. That song is forever removed. And you mentioned high school. I guarantee you that one high school in every single county across the country, at least one high school, was using that song in their warm-up tapes, in layup lines. It came out. It didn't matter if you were in Detroit, if you were in New York, Miami. It was that popular. Salt Lake City, you watch Michael Jordan gut you 2 straight years, and your high school was still using that song for layups. It was that popular.
Yep.
It's insane.
But if you use it now, if any pro team uses it now, say Seattle gets a team again, they become the Seattle Supersonics, right? If Seattle decides to use that song, everyone would say, "Oh, cool, they're playing the Bulls song."
Exactly. And I wonder, when did the Bulls stop using it? Was it the year? I don't know. I don't know.
They could still be using it. We have no idea. We're not in Chicago. We need someone from Chicago to let us know.
All right. Twitch is twitch.tv/Shander Show, at Shander Show on Twitter, at Ron 2Ns Culver on Twitter as well. I imagine, you cannot disgrace the legend that was that dynasty by parading out what they have in the last couple of years with that same introduction, the punch in the gut that it would be to Michael Jordan and everything that he established in Chicago, right through Scottie Pippen. You're essentially disrespecting everybody from Jordan down to Jed Bushler by playing this introduction.
I'm going to stop you real quick. Do you think any of the Bulls players are sick of that song?
In what sense? Are we talking about today? Are we talking about today's Bulls players?
The Bulls of... any Bulls player, I guess. You can throw in today, or Michael Jordan's Bulls, Scottie Pippen.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think they hear that song and like, oh my God, I heard that thing over and over and over?
Is this like
years?
When I worked at a fast food pizza place in my final year in college?
Did you grow tired of pizza?
That specific pizza, maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's probably in the back of their mind. Like, who was paying attention to that? It probably gives them chills. No, because look, if it's giving us chills and they see that, right? If you saw...
Maybe now they have an appreciation of it, but do you think like during the time Jordan was like, man, can we just get some,
I don't know, man.
Some Run DMC in this?
You would have to be a major curmudgeon to basically stop the world, because everybody was jumping in. Everybody, the entire arena was erupting and cheering and screaming your name. And to your point about this, right, it flows perfectly. All right. Now we're told. Oh, no, I love it. You can let it run. We're told on Twitch, 9/11 Sixers, even the basketball team in Teen Wolf was using that song. So it's stretched out.
That basketball team, what, you're talking about the TV show Teen Wolf? Because not the movie. That's
really?
Michael J. Fox. I don't think they were using this song in Michael J. Fox's movie.
We need to check that too. We have a lot to research in the frame.
I used to watch that religiously.
All right, Mike Delaney.
I gotta go back. If that's the case, man, shame on me. But I don't think it was used in the movie. Maybe the TV show.
I wonder. This is an interesting question on Twitch by Mike Delaney. Do the Bulls own the copyright to that song? Do you think they purchased the rights to that song from the Alan Parsons Project?
I don't know.
You know, one of those shady deals.
I'll
Like,
let you know. I've been playing this a little too long. I'll let you know in a little bit when I get the letter
from ASCAP. Yeah, I worked in Nashville. It's the headquarters of NASCAP and BMI. They were all, I don't know if it's just because we were down the street, but they were all over it. We would get stuff all the time. Like, you know, you played something 66 seconds and you need to credit that. All right, at Shander Show.
We credit the Chicago Bulls.
Exactly.
We don't know if it's right, but we know it's their song.
There's something out there. Exactly. And we'll figure out if they continue to play this song, if they own this song. And there was something else we needed to research as well. But here are two cuts I want to play before we break. We can talk about this as well, some other things that popped over the weekend. Like you might have missed the WNBA draft. You might have missed the final, of course. You might have even missed this Major League Eating Quarantine Challenge. But one thing that I didn't hear before, and maybe this was more common knowledge than not, was Jordan telling, and again, I didn't expect to be blown away by any means, but one thing that I thought was interesting, was humorous, as well as a little bit of a nugget that popped, was Jordan telling this story about his rookie year when he walked into a hotel.
One of the articles I read, they called it the Bulls Traveling Cocaine Circus.
I never read that article.
Accurate?
Look, guys were doing things that I didn't see. I had one event, preseason, I think we were in Peoria. It's in a hotel. So I'm trying to find my teammates. So I start knocking on doors. I get to this one door, and I knock on the door, and I could hear someone says, shh, someone's outside. And then you hear this deep voice says, who is it? I says, MJ. And then they all said, oh, he's just a rookie. Don't worry about it. So they open up the door. I walk in, and practically the whole team was in there. And it was like things I've never seen in my life, you know, as a young kid. You got your lines over here, you got your weed smokers over here, you got your women over here. So the first thing I said, look, man, you know, I'm out, you know, because all I can think about is if they come and raid this place right about now, I am just as guilty as everybody else that's in this room. And from that point on, you know, I was more or less on my own.
That is the biggest thing that I took away from it, what he says at the end of that clip. And it's not so much, do you believe Jordan, or come on, you know, he's never had a drink or he's never had a smoke or anything worse than that. Come on. It's the awareness. Being a rookie and full on aware of you, your brand, your reach, and your ability. And look, the guy did not come in to the NBA as the best basketball player of all time, but he was highly rated and highly heralded and could have come out a year before. If you look at a lot written up about him and expected about him, he could have even left a year before and been a top 5, top 8 pick.
Yeah, but a lot of top college coaches at the time were saying that was the best player they've ever seen.
Jordan, right.
Yeah.
And
Bob Knight was like, that's the greatest player I've ever seen.
Exactly. And I think that he came in young. And think about the contrast, the juxtaposition, if you will. Somebody who walks into that room who has never seen a lot of what he was talking about laid out. And yeah, I mean, the average person nowadays listening, that's that age, has seen a lot and probably worse. And also having the same presence of mind, not to even be like, okay, let me dip in it. But his response wasn't, hey, I need to stay pure for tomorrow night. I need to be, it's raid. It's what happens if we get caught? What happens to me? What happens to the team? What happens to my brand? And I think it's beyond a selfish thing. I think it's being able to recognize who you are in your position.
And I'm going to piggyback on that with what you're saying, with also the fact that he didn't succumb to peer pressure. Like peer pressure, I mean, because it's there.
Peer pressure, Ron.
No, I know, but it's there.
Yes.
You know, he walks into that room and
yes.
the guy's like, hey, come here, Mike. There's a great story Darryl Strawberry tells about one of the first times when he got called up to the big leagues, he was on a plane with the Mets and he got called up to the back of the plane. And that pretty much started his Habit days.
Right there.
Yep. He got called to the back of the plane. He wanted to fit right in with everybody else. And so he decided to partake.
It's subtle differences like that, right? Where you look at guys who have a ton of talent and can be all-timers, which Straw could have been by all means, and played an insane level at one point at least. And then you look at someone like Jordan in that story, and it just fits. And it would fit for other people too if we found out that was LeBron James, right? The first or second day that he was a rookie with the Cleveland Cavaliers and told a similar story 20 years from now. It would fit. It would fit. Now, there's something from Pippen that popped that I am shocked people did not know about. And I get social media is a terrible barometer for what people really think and feel. But it was surprising to see people come across this as brand new information. And we have a perfect test study here in Ron Culver for a question that we didn't really get many answers to over the weekend. All right? Keep it here. SB Nation Radio, it's the second level.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
Oh, man.
This is the
Nice.
problem for a sport like baseball.
It's amazing how
It is
fast
an
that
outdoor
segment
sport
goes.
that must be played in nice weather.
If I didn't have to
And the
break,
window
I feel like
for
we could have
nice
gotten
weather,
another 15 minutes easily.
Philadelphia, New York, Boston, is quite small. I actually am somebody who
Especially
believes
because,
that
like, how hard is
baseball
it?
should
You know,
be going
even if we just reset something
in
and then
Arizona,
did something different, it's like
Florida.
it's amazing how
once this
fast.
thing calms down. And I think having teams be centrally located, I think finding a facility, a hotel that probably is empty, and putting your team there, it stinks. You're going to be away from your family. You're going to be away from your normal life. But that to me is a must. I just don't see how in the world you put like the New York Yankees in New York. Like how?
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern.
Yeah, isn't that insane, man?
Radio.
Like that cut is like, I think, a perfect
Going to be a virtual
micro
event,
of
Everybody's
Jordan.
Going to be in home locations and everybody on computers.
And you know the thing
whatnot.
is like,
how many of us will be watching this?
Who is
just
going to
see if it
who?
falls apart? This is the aspect of the
Did you have
draft
any
that we
problem
see who
believing
did
that?
what
I didn't.
What teams did what? Who moved up in the draft to get who? And all of that we normally do. But how many of us are watching for the Joe Burrow feed to just collapse at the right time?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call.
Who as a country do we trust enough to when they go, you can go back to work, you can go to sports arenas, that we go,
You know what I mean?
absolutely, thanks.
You there?
Is it Dr. Fossey?
Is it him? Because he's like
Talking to me?
Yeah, sorry.
All right. That's always hard to tell if you're talking to me or Twitch.
Oh, the Twitch. I'm sorry.
Away from
And now I
Gilbert
forgot what I
I
asked
know,
you.
right? On the one hand, I want to know what
I don't know.
my Dr. Fauci impression is more like, well, it's more like if you have two people in a room, it's better if one of them leaves. So in the future, let's say you're taking your family to a restaurant and there's 4 of you. It's better to just get 4 tables. And please limit the visitation to maybe once every 2 weeks. That would be the best. To keep this completely under control.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Headed to Texas to watch your team play, but don't know where to go for that pregame drink? Visit CultureMap.com for all of the hottest spots in Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. From the most popular bars to those favorite dine-in gems, Culture Map has it all. Then before you leave town, why not visit some of the best places to shop or see some of the sights? Culture Map has extensive coverage on all the things to do in the city you're in. So check out CultureMap.com. That's CultureMap.com.
Let's do that Pippen cut real quick, and then I won't spend too much time on it. And then I want to throw this thing at you about the watching it last night.
You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
You got that good nugget of insight on Jordan, rookie year. Peer pressure just bounces right off of him. He's totally aware of who he is, his standing in the NBA and sports, and potential of what can be. And a very young and mature MJ says, nope, I'm out. Now, that's something that came out from this that I didn't know and didn't hear ahead of time, and was nice and a nice compliment to the Jordan saga. Something that I thought was pretty much general knowledge was how bad both Jerrys in Chicago bent over Pippen and forced him to work at terrible under conditions that you could look around the NBA and question how that was even possible. And that was a major factor in not only the team breaking up, but also looking back and asking, well, what happened? And looking first, MJ leaving, second with Scotty. This is a cut from The Last Dance. And Twitter, the only reason why I bring it up is because I was shocked at how many people reacted to it like it was brand new. But this is essentially what happened with one of the Jerrys and Scotty. We'll get that cut coming up. The Reinsdorf one with talking about the contract issue. But basically what I thought was more general knowledge than not was that the Bulls knew ahead of time they were not going to renegotiate with Scotty, and that he was essentially stuck playing under terrible conditions. It drove a wedge between MJ and Scotty. And you saw from last night, it just reinforced this huge conversation that was going. I know we didn't have Twitter and all back then, but people act like nobody was reading and nobody was having water cooler conversations. This is the cut, Reinsdorf versus Pippen.
He signed a long-term deal, and it was undervalued pretty quickly.
The league took off. You know, revenues went way, way up. Salaries went up.
Jerry Reinsdorf was emphatic about it when guys signed the contract.
I don't want to hear from you again. Don't come back and try to renegotiate.
It was embarrassing because he was maybe the number 2 player in the NBA. His value was immense.
Yeah, it was ridiculous at the time, and we were all aware of what was going on. It wasn't like you had to wait around for a 6-month report on how bad things were with salary. It was there, it was accessible. It wasn't constantly hammered over your head like small things are with Twitter. That was something that I was not really anticipating was, and I guess the whole thing with MJ, LeBron, and other stuff about, oh my goodness, Michael, the best ever, and talking about those conversations would repurpose themselves. But in this case, I was kind of shocked that it wasn't as much of a general knowledge piece of information that I thought it was. Newey Scruggs is going to join us in Dallas, 7 minutes. Not only does he have information about the Cowboys, but he might have locked down exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do in the first round. So we've got a 2-for-1. Guy in Dallas actually might have more information on what's going on here in Philadelphia than I know I do. Also, I didn't really get the answer I wanted over the weekend and thought that there might not have been enough parents that were going through and experiencing this live or replay with their children. And I don't know if anybody watched both, but from reaction of people who watched the censored version, it didn't really seem like there was much to edit out. Maybe a couple of bleep words, something you'd see normally and hear normally online.
I think it's going to ramp up this weekend with the Dennis Rodman episode.
Okay, well, what do you think, honestly? Because you watched it. Did you watch it with your children?
No.
All right.
They stuck around for all of 2 minutes and had no interest. They popped in and out every once in a while. And, I sarcastically, my son, after it was all over, he came downstairs to get a drink of water. He says, "Oh, did you finish your documentary?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "What'd you learn?" I said that Michael Jordan was the greatest player on the planet.
Which you knew already.
I already knew that. He just kind of looked at me like, okay.
Well, when they were popping in, though, what were they popping in on the TV mature one, or were you?
Oh no, I'm going full on
right
on this. Just because, first of all, it's cable net, it's network cable, or I don't know however you want to say it. And so it's kind of odd. I remember vividly back in the day when South Park was breaking rules.
Yeah, they got to say the S word a couple of times. Yeah,
and they made sure to say it like 1,000 times.
Right.
So it's kind of
FX drops a ton of curse words.
Yeah,
by the way.
they do. But it still feels taboo where it shouldn't be. They're just words.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's all it was, right? What else could possibly have been said? There wasn't. And again, even next week, it's not like they're going to have on one channel a sex scene with Rodman and Madonna, and the other channel that's been edited out for children under 14.
It's just going to be words. And last night, to be honest with you, even if you had watched the bleep version, it wouldn't have been annoying. I'm hoping that further along, maybe it gets annoying. That if you were to watch out the beat version, you would have been like, okay, I'm glad I'm watching the mature version.
Yeah, but what do you think could possibly? I don't know. It feels like
That's what
it's
I'm saying.
such a stretch to have a censored version of this in the first place.
Yeah, I'm thinking Dennis Rodman. That's why I'm saying I'm curious about Rodman because I think Rodman just, it's just his personality just to use a certain word as a verb, adjective, and a noun all together in one sentence.
And you think ESPN is going to allow every? See, that's the difference, though. Is
Yeah, I think they will. I think they are just going to allow it and let it roll. I don't know. Are they paying a fine? Or they have to go to the FCC and say, listen, we're showing a bad version and a clean version at the same time.
Yeah, but why wouldn't more, especially if something like on FX, where you have the FX, FXX, and all the other, like, why wouldn't more networks do this? Yeah,
We can do that, right?
you would think so. But see, here's the thing. You laugh at me when I brought up that whole thing with Splash and editing out that Daryl Hannah scene. This is the same parent company who is now censoring The Last Dance.
Hey, Disney's changed.
When does it stop? How much more do you need to take out and censor? You're kidding me that you can't sit there and watch Michael Jordan drop an F-bomb, please? Louis Scruggs next.
It's back in my day. I remember Disney using an alternate shell company to produce rated R movies.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
What was the shell company?
I
Fox?
mean, it wasn't a shell company, but just a different production company. I want to say, I think it might have been Buena Vista Pictures
Oh, okay, yeah, because they were.
is what they used to produce rated R movies.
I think they were loosely, and didn't Buena Vista have like an intro? You know, when they have it before of every movie, wasn't it kind of loosely associated with Disney?
No, it was Disney's company.
That's what I'm saying. But it had like it wasn't like the. I think it might have even had like the Magic Kingdom or something behind it.
Something.
Oh, hold
Something
on.
subtle, but yeah, I think it was Buena Vista Pictures, and that was it was either that or Touchstone.
Yeah.
Or something.
Buena Vista International, and it has a little thing of the Magic Kingdom behind it.
Uncharted territory, looking for ways
So
to support
shady.
our
I'm
communities.
telling you, man.
At Dell Technologies, we're making sure small businesses have the right tech solutions. Dell Technologies advisors are here for you, from helping small businesses stay connected and productive while working remotely with Windows.
No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Buena Vista. It was Touchstone.
Touchstone. That's a much bigger.
Yeah, Touchstone was Disney's company, and they used that to
Created and owned by, Walt Disney
Just prices
Studios
for-
Motion Pictures. Created and owned.
And finally, get Viagra.
All right, now
at huge
Touchstone, let's
discounts.
see.
Generic sildenafil allows you to save up to $650 on Viagra. Why pay name brand?
Splash was a Touchstone pick.
That's how Disney got away with doing rated R films, was under Touchstone.
See, there were some pretty good ones.
Only $99.
Ruthless People.
This
That's a
can
good one.
cost as
Tough
much
Guys.
as
It's an underrated flick.
$750 at your local
Color of
pharmacy.
Money,
You can't
Outrageous
afford not to
Fortune.
call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay
Tin Men. You ever see that?
$15 a pill for the name brand again.
Richard
Get
Dreyfuss and
generic
DeVito.
sildenafil for less than $3 a pill.
Stakeout.
No, I've seen Stakeout.
Can't Buy Me
And
Love.
save up to $650.
Best Patrick
and get
Dempsey movie of all
$50
time,
for
right?
Just
Yeah, isn't it the only one?
I think so.
I don't know. I had a crush on Amanda.
Yeah, she was hot. Oh
Yeah,
my
even though
goodness.
Now she's dead.
Is she really?
That's 800-450.
Yeah, she died a couple years ago. I think drug overdose
Oh,
or
man.
suicide, one of the two.
5582. You're going on a trip.
I just liked it because Patrick Dempsey's character's name was Ronnie.
Oh, there you
so
go.
she used to say my name.
And that
Booking
made it
on
all of the much better for you.
BestHotelRates.com works with all the top.
You ever
in the
see
country
Shoot
while
to
delivering
Kill?
you Great hotel
Tom
and room
Berenger and
choices
Sidney
for the
Poitier?
best prices. Why wait? Go to BestHotelRates.com.
Kirstie Alley's in that movie.
Address and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's in the name.
I gave you Louis' number, right?
BestHotelRates.com.
Yes.
Yeah, calling him now.
All right.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Adam Schefter with a report. 49ers fielding trade calls about both of their first round draft picks, 13 and 31. My Eagles in play for both of those picks. I'm sure they're trying desperately to move up to nab one of the top 3 wide receivers. And if not, could they be looking to maybe trade back in the first round, knowing that a 4th wide receiver, somebody that is close to the area where we'll go in Dallas, the greater area, of course, and could be on the Eagles as far as a plan B is concerned. Also, of course, what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys as the NFL draft a couple of days away. I do think that there is a little bit of heightened anticipation because it's essentially going to be a 32-member Zoom meeting with Roger Goodell and Alice, playing that role in the Brady Bunch in the middle. This thing, of course, normally has the expectations of a lot of movement. Somebody like San Francisco comes out and says, all right, it's up for grabs. Got that pick from the Colts anyway, so let's do what we can. And it might be a smokescreen, but I do think that beyond the Eagles, you're going to see a bunch of teams trying to move up, vying for that spot, especially because you really only have 3 of a pick is concerned, 3 wide receivers. And that's been the outside of Joe Burrow and what might happen with Tua. That's been the pick du jour, right? The one that we've identified and said, this is the top level position. Also, with the Cowboys, it doesn't look like, and again, unless there's a run on a certain position, that they would be pressed to move up. We find out from Newey in a minute as well. Now, the Giants, Miami, Chargers, kind of in the middle there. That's been this big topic of if anybody can get up to Detroit. If anybody can put something, slap it on the table, because it's not going to happen with Cincinnati. It's not going to happen at all with Washington. Nothing along those lines, right? So what could play out? Quarterbacks, it's not going to be anything after Tua. Meaning nobody's going to trade up to San Francisco. Nobody's going to bump up there and say, all right, let's call the Niners because we need to make a run at Love. And no knock on Justin Herbert, but once Tua goes off the board, it's pretty clear right there who could use a quarterback and who can't. Carolina's going to have that option if they so choose. And then you have, really moving down, Jacksonville, which if they did, you would think they'd move up and take a shot at Tua and not expect Herbert to kind of fall in their lap. Cleveland, Jets, Vegas, be a reach. San Francisco, that spot, it's out for quarterbacks. So how many other positions are you going to make a run for? How many other positions are you going to look to trade up for? It was really all about just wide receiver, and maybe somebody would do that for Tua. But I don't think that you're going to see that so much. I really don't. I think the biggest concern would be a run on wide receivers. Because like cornerback, you can make that argument. You could lay that out and say every single year, if you have a shot at BPA, meaning, hey, look, we could really use a inside linebacker. We could really use a guard. Hey, we could even use a backup quarterback. You can never overreach if you're grabbing a number 1 wide receiver or if you're grabbing what hopes to be a number 1 cornerback. And if you can look at the top 10, even where it doesn't matter, Arizona, right, makes this huge trade. Best player available is Ruggs. Best player available is Judy. On your draft board, you've got these guys scouted on your draft board. You're looking out and, you're basically trying to maximize what you can for a BPA. I would definitely not overreach by any means. Here's the thing. If I'm Detroit, I'm trading out as fast as humanly possible because I know that I've taken hopefully 7, 8, 9 days leading up to this draft to do my due diligence, to sit, or maybe it's still virtually, but to have all these conversations so that by the time you hit at number 3, you're confident that you've maximized your return. And even if it's Miami moving up 2 spots, you've milked them for another pick. And look, the Giants, they're pushing here. Giants, come on. They don't want Chargers, Carolina, Jacksonville. That's out. We already know that Miami has competition as far as moving up to that number 3 spot for Detroit. So when I see this report come out, Adam Schefter says, well, the 49ers are fielding trade calls about both of their first-round NFL draft picks, 13 and 31. I thought, well, my Eagles and a couple of other teams, depending on where you look at the list, if you will, who's behind them. Tampa, Denver, Atlanta, the 3 teams respectively behind San Francisco at 13, not necessarily itching to move up, but could, in at least regards with Denver is concerned. It's all about who's in front of Philadelphia that would need a wide receiver, because I think Philly is going to be that leverage. San Francisco looks around and, well, we got a call from Howie Roseman in Philadelphia because the Eagles are desperately trying to move up and grab one of the 3 wide receivers, one of those top 3 guys, and not look at a plan B. So now all of a sudden, if it is Denver or if it is even Miami trying to move back up there from 18, or maybe it's a team behind New England, for example, somebody trying to move up for whatever personal reasons they have, I'm betting from the outside, of course, that the Eagles are going to be that team that's going to be used as leverage, because the Eagles are going to be one, if not the most desperate to move up and grab a wide receiver. At the same time, the Eagles are also a major team in play for the Niners at 31 if, in fact, they can't move up. Let's say the price is too high, or the Niners, to their credit, have out-leveraged the Eagles into a better offer. Well, you're going to get a plan B, and as heard, and I wanted Newey to say it, but we can't get him because he's not answering the damn phone, Scruggs. Come on. He told me, and was the first to tell me, the Eagles reached out to Rager's camp about at TCU to see and really talk to his head coach, and that's a strong indication of want and interest. That's beyond the simple due diligence. What they did with that young man was more in line with how the Eagles would vet guys that they draft or would want to draft. And look, things change. They're fluid on the board. I think be less fluid in this crazy state that we see the draft kick off on Thursday night. It's something to look at, though. The Niners have come out and said, we're open for business. And they've got 2 sides. Because I think if you're Rieger, then now all of a sudden you're available anywhere from 28, where it would not hurt at all Lamar Jackson to get another weapon like that, even in Seattle for Russell Wilson. I know he's got 2 guys right now, but see, you start to look at adding another component in offense, adding another component to stretch the field. And that's exactly what he does. So it does make sense for a team like now in Philadelphia at 21 to trade back 29, 30, 31, that range to draft this kid from TCU. So the Niners have essentially opened up the door for trading in 2 different ends of the room, yet they have the same person interested in both sides. And they're requiring, right, at least 2 people in order to do business, in order to do this dance if they're smart. Otherwise, they're just going to hand this thing off to the first bidder. And by doing that, you're essentially locking in the Eagles either way. At this point, I feel even better about this prediction that I had over the weekend, which is the Philadelphia Eagles are going to trade back. I don't think they trade back into the second round, but at this point, we've at least identified a willing partner, public as it may be, as much as you believe, with Schefter. So don't be surprised at all if you see that play out. Eagles trade back, 31, draft wide receiver from TCU. As far as 13 is concerned, I still think that the position in question here, or the position that would drive somebody to truly trade up, is still wide receiver. At Shander Shows, how you follow along, twitch.tv/Shander Show, at Ron Culver, 2 N's for Ron on Twitter. Before the break, we were throwing this around a little bit, and I wanted to just bring this back because I am interested moving forward if parents are going to change their tune. So real quick, you did not watch, not that you didn't allow, but I'm saying they didn't have any interest, which is fine. If they did hypothetically have interest, there was not even a question in mind about which version the three of you, because I'm assuming your youngest wouldn't be there anyway.
Yeah, he definitely does not care at all.
But
I mean, he would, if he was with me, he'd be sitting on the couch probably watching a YouTube Kids video on his phone or iPad,
which
you know.
which is fine. I get
Yeah.
that makes sense. Nobody's forcing kids to do.
I'm not going to force him to watch about Michael Jordan
No.
yet.
But the other two, you did, or you would.
Yeah,
at
the other
least.
two, yeah, and,
You tried.
My oldest, my youngest, he does not really much. My oldest is starting to get to that age where he wants to learn about the icons of sports, the heroes of sports. He kept popping in every once in a while, and even so, I would have him just watch. I mean, he sat there and he watched a few minutes of it, and
You didn't flip to the censored version.
not at all.
No.
Why would I?
Exactly, and I didn't think anybody would. But here's the thing.
I didn't have the choice because I recorded the uncensored version.
Ah, that's the difference. You recorded it. I got you. And you had smart man. You forced yourself in that corner. But I wonder, does Dennis Rodman change anything for parents out there? All right, think of this. You had last night the premiere. All right, it's a lot of Jordan. It was essentially the Pippen episode that we're told are the episodes of the series. Everything's going to center and surround Jordan, but you're going to get other snippets and you get other people that'll focus on. So from there, you get kind of an exhale, like, oh, all right, I'll let my 9-year-old, my 10-year-old watch it with me as I wanted. And there wasn't anything crazy. This wasn't a ridiculous conversation of parenting that I needed to have after. In fact, if you remember that cut we played from Jordan, that was probably a teachable moment that you could use with a child as you would get. Anyway, and now you move forward and you have Dennis Rodman and you have what's associated with Dennis Rodman, which is madness and chaos. He's the Kramer of the Bulls. You can't predict what the hell's going to happen. You can put him in motion, but nobody can control him. Nobody can. Even Michael Jordan realized, and we know this, and I'm going back to being alive and living through it, but we know this. It fell apart. It came unraveled. It didn't need to be locked in any more than a year because the whole team came unraveled. But remember, when this whole thing came about of LeBron James playing with other players and going to play in LA, one of the more buried stories, and this is on purpose, was the lobbying that Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen did with Phil Jackson for Dennis Rodman, physically going into his office, barging in and saying, Phil, we need Dennis.
And I'm hoping they show all this.
But are you going to change your tune? Are we going to talk a week from now and you're going to say, I had to watch the censored version, Shander, because of Dennis Rodman?
No. Listen, no, I'm hoping he makes it all worth it. But nothing was going to surprise me because I don't think anything will ever be as bad as Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, and Doc Rivers hiding out in DeAndre Jordan's house,
playing video games and essentially locking him in.
Yes.
Yeah,
and burning Mark Cuban in the process.
Yeah, that was pretty special.
I think that's the extreme. I think players going in and lobbying, saying, "Hey, we need to get this guy. This guy will help out our team." I think that happens all the time. I think that's commonplace.
Well, yeah, and I think what happens is it was buried because people did not want Jordan going out and asking for help to get out. They just assumed Dennis Rodman fell in their lap somehow. I don't know.
Now maybe they'll show it this way. I gotta imagine the Worm's going to be very candid.
I would think so. I mean, he didn't give what, so he's going to talk a lot of it.
My big thing, like Tony and I were talking earlier, my big thing is I want to know when the Worm changed
into
the Worm, because Dennis Rodman, Pistons Dennis Rodman, almost seems mild-mannered. He was very reserved, didn't really talk that much, wasn't really outspoken, and then all of a sudden he gets to the Bulls and this.
All right, I have a theory on that. All right, I'll give you my theory on that. We'll wrap the hour coming up at Shander Show, at Ron Culver, 2 N's, twitch.tv/Shander Show, 800-224-2004. It's the second level.
SB Nation tonight with John Michaels.
Did you get my text?
On Nui, right? I got the first one.
Yeah. No. This
I got it right now. Nui and 20. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could do Nui, fake news, and then.
He apologizes because he
it's cool, man.
He was doing something with underprivileged boys.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
making
a.
sure everyone got dropped off and where they were supposed to go in time. And
I believe it because he's a saint, but yeah, he's no. I
but what I had told him, I said, Newey, I said that story doesn't sound as exciting as me just saying you were blowing him off,
right.
and then you saw the light and had a change of heart, and he was laughing the entire time. So
Yeah, he's a great
Year
dude.
or NFL game.
He's awesome for
People
anything
are
Dallas too.
consuming
He
the
does
national
local
guy.
TV there. So if you ever go out to Dallas or need anybody, he's fantastic.
SB Nation tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and
Soccer
greatest in the world of
futures.
America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner, two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
Joe Theismann here on Pushing the Odds. How has quarantine life been for you?
Probably the most important word that we can all consider is patience with everybody. I know everybody's sort of going stir crazy. I mean, let's face it, this is something we're not used to as a society. We move quite rapidly, but now we're forced to sort of reevaluate the important things in life. I think it's good in that regard. Matt, I've said this for a long time. If you have your health, you have wealth. Wealth has nothing to do with what your bank account looks like. If you have your health, then you are a very wealthy person. Now it's important that we understand that you want to be able to keep social distancing so that everybody can stay healthy. And the more we can practice that, every day that we can practice that, every day we can buy a day for the scientists to be able to come up with a cure or a vaccine, it's a day closer to having this craziness ending. Life will never be the same.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call!
Please God, if it does come to that, can we have the Walking Dead zombies, not the World War Z?
Yeah, I don't need the fast moving.
Superhuman.
Great point, Twitch.
I'm not running a World War Z zombie.
I'm the guy you bring because secretly you know I can't keep up with the rest of the group. Hey, I'm going to take Bob and Jim and Tony. You come with us
It's
too.
exactly
Everybody
with
knows
like
why
with
you're bringing
Custom
me.
Auto, man.
When push comes to shove, I'm the meal.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekday mornings.
It was his cuss.
You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
Busy second hour. Newey Scruggs will join us. Fake news with Ron Culver and a list of stuff you can't wear if you're going to be in the draft. Now, Ron brought up when and really asked when Rodman turned into Rodman. So I had a theory on this, and Thieve826 beat us to it in the break on Twitch. And it opens up, I think, it's a two-part thing. First off, and before you even get to the two parts, this is always, I think, what Dennis Rodman and who he was, and that's fine. He wants to express himself and be out there. That was always what he had. But Chuck Daly was to Rodman as Custom Auto was to Mike Tyson. And when Daly was gone, it started to open up. And then all of a sudden, he's next to Pippen, Jordan, Jackson, this huge trend. And he's like, all right, not only can I stretch out and be me, but I need to compete. I need to compete with MJ. And I think he realized he could take it to that next level. But I think it all stems back to Chuck Daly. All right.
Bum Phillips,
Give me one
Earl
second.
Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers.
Did you see this list, by the way? I just
Red, White, and
popped up
Columbia
in front of me
Blue.
here.
The new audiobook at HoustonOnline.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979 Houston Oilers season, featuring player interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys, and relive one of the most controversial plays ever, the Mike Renfro play. Red, white, and Columbia blue. Download now at Houston79.com.
Wake up call.
You know what? I think Tiger King is probably going to be the thing.
That'll be.
How did you get through the great quarantine? Let me tell you the story. And the guy and his tigers, and another guy and his sex cult, and a woman that fed her husband to the lions. I mean, it's just going to be.
Do you think Oklahoma, in some way, some fashion, or maybe the country as a whole, we should have a Joe Exotic statue? A place,
Great idea.
a beacon of hope, a beacon of light that we can all travel to once the quarantine is over. So
Take our families.
Mass gatherings. So generations from now, we can sit there and say, guys, this man right here is what got us through 2020.
I think it's a great idea. That's a good idea. Joe Exotic statue. The great hero of the 2020 quarantine.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
Dan Black of Road Drivers doing this here. I'm putting the odds. The most angry I've ever been at you was when you shot me with a paintball gun. Do you remember why you shot me with the paintball gun?
Yeah, I don't know. There might have been a girl involved or something, to be honest with you. That's usually how these things work. But I do remember it because it was radio promotion. We were at this paintball place, and I think we were just getting on each other's nerves like 20-year-old dudes do. And you put your hands up, and I took a free shot at you. And you did not appreciate it one bit. So I don't know if I ever apologized for that, but if I didn't, sorry, man.
I remember my rib cage being like so sore for like 3 days afterward. You hit me like 4 times. It wasn't like one shot. It was like multiple pulling pulls of the trigger too that you got me.
Oh,
on,
geez,
so.
it's like you completely have not forgotten about it.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call.
Tom Brady is going to be living at Jeter's house.
First thought went through my mind, what if you need to replace the dishwasher? Is that Jeter's problem or is that Brady's problem? Does Brady sit there and like, hey, Jeter, you need to take care of this. I'm not going to pay you rent.
So when Brady goes in to Jeter's house and Jeter goes, yeah, the cell phone goes in the basket. He goes, oh, no. I already went down this road before with the NFL. No chance. This phone's not going anywhere near that basket.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
Did you see the latest on Kevin Durant where he said he played with a bunch of athletes, but not a bunch of guys that can shoot or play? Dude, Russell Westbrook and James Harden were on your team. I get it. Kendrick Perkins wasn't a very skilled big man. Thabo Sefolosha was a great defensive guy, and that's it. Don't do this 6, 7, 8 years later where you're calling guys out. You sound like a candy ass when you do that. I thought it was soft as hell when he left, but to not be hypocritical, it is free agency. You are free to go play wherever the hell you want when you're a free agent. But why years later are you trashing guys that you used to play with? And whenever you're healthy again, you're now going to play again. I'm going to tell you, if I'm Russell Westbrook and I'm James Harden and I go against Kevin Durant, I'm putting the Slim Reaper on his rear end. Tell him, shut the hell up. You were part of the reason we couldn't get the job done.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. This is the Big E Sports Show on SB Nation Radio.
Hi, this is Elissa Walker Campbell, host of the Big E Sports Show that airs every Friday night from 8 to 10 Eastern right here at SB Nation Radio. Every week we promise to deliver the biggest and best in sports and go beyond the X's and O's. Some of our guests include Dick Vermeil, Tony Dungy, Dan Reeves, and Rick Carlisle. We've always got you covered.
Hear the Big E Sports Show every Friday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on SB Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner. 2-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcast. So don't miss
All right,
out.
so we're
Subscribe to
good
the Blogging
now.
Boys podcast.
Newey,
feed today.
news, and then
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles.
Did you see that thing,
From
Ron?
Reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on
Yeah.
on the road. AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. On SB Nation Radio,
And on SBNationRadio.com.
where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
Busy hour. We've tracked down Newey Scruggs, and wait till you hear what he was doing while I was ripping him for blowing us off. Fake news with Ron Culver. It's a staple now. We're a week in, and we've committed to it. And I think 4 out of the 5 days, we've actually started this thing on time. So we have a nice little streak going here. Finally, before we get out of here, we're going to throw 3 things out at the world, including, of course, Ron Culver. Sometimes Ron Culver does represent the world. Sometimes you out there on Twitch and Twitter and everywhere else, Facebook, where you can watch and visually consume the show, represented as well. But we've got 3 things to kind of rank as far as where it would be on our level if we did not have The Last Dance. Because thankfully, if you want even more reinforcement of how necessary The Last Dance was to open up on Sunday night, and no, I'm not taking another subtle shot at Westworld, which HBO has totally ruined. It's 3 sport-related pieces of content, and I'm probably putting it nicely and doing them some justice by referring to it as that. You might have missed. That's what we'll call it. You might have missed, because there are 3 things you might have missed, and if forced to have watched, you probably would have been unhappy all around. There is something that we need to talk about and discuss before we get out, and that's a mandate handed down from the NFL to future draftees Thursday, Friday night, over the weekend, what they can wear during this virtual time, because everything's going to be on camera. But speaking of Oz, if we were to just lay out blindly, if I were to give you a quote and ask you who would the first person to pop in mind be, associate with this quote, it would be who? Think of this. What would be the minus 500 odds on favorite? Quote, can Bigfoot or aliens get coronavirus? I need to know because I have had contact with them, end quote. So who right now, and I don't even want to limit it to sports, just in general. No, it's not Alex Jones on Twitch. I guess that's a decent guess. Where would Jose Canseco be on your list? Minus 500 plus 1,000? Because that's who said it.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for our spring break deals on lawn and garden batteries, wiper blades, brake kits, and more. Restore the power in your car with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Buy 1 bottle, get 1 free. Plus, double O Rewards points, which means you'll get to your next reward even faster. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly.
No, of course he doesn't. He's a
Hi,
maniac.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During these challenging times, our commitment to providing you with the best mortgage experience remains. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows. If you think that now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Number 33.
Attention. If you or a loved one took Belviq or Belviq XR for weight loss, call the Belviq Advocates at 1-888-743-7254. You may be at increased risk for cancer, including pancreatic, colorectal, and lung cancer, and you may be entitled to a compensation. Call for a free review of your case at 1-888-743-7254.
In February 2020, the FDA requested that the manufacturer of Belviq withdraw the drug from the market due to cancer findings. Call so that we can fight for a compensation to cover your medical bills and more. If you've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, colorectal, or lung cancer after using the weight loss drug Belviq or Belviq XR, call the Belviq Advocates now for a free consultation.
Ron?
You may be owed a significant.
I don't know if anybody got back to you, but Ben got back to me in Cincinnati.
I haven't reached out to anybody.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to see if he can do tomorrow.
All right.
Consult your physician prior to discontinuing use of any medication. Results may vary.
We're all in uncharted territory, looking for ways to support our communities. At Dell Technologies, we're making sure small businesses have the right tech solutions. Dell Technologies advisors are here for you, from helping small businesses stay connected and productive while working remotely with Windows 10 and Microsoft Teams, to rapidly deploying remote work solutions that limit upfront costs with Dell Financial Services. We're standing by you every step of the way. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. Besthotelrates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to besthotelrates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. Besthotelrates.com, it's in the name. Best Hotel.
Yeah, I knew it was good.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
As mentioned, we go out to the Progressive Guest Line and bring in a man who not only has some information and insight on the team that he's been covering to an Emmy level for a decade plus in Dallas, but some insight here in Philadelphia. Now, I know a lot of people out there that are thinking, well, I'm not in Philadelphia, I'm not in Dallas, but movement in the draft impacts everybody. And if, in fact, the Philadelphia Eagles are moving up or back, as we laid out in the first hour, San Francisco is now a candidate for either now with the Philadelphia Eagles, moving up to 13 or back to 31. It's going to impact the draft board. It's going to impact even if it's a run on a certain player. So we know the Dallas Cowboys are at the time locked in at 17. The Eagles a little bit farther back at 21. And really what's going to happen moving forward with some really popular names down in Dallas. And one of the most popular is Newy Scruggs, at Newy Scruggs on Twitter. Eitan Shander, second level. What's happening, man? Hopefully, pardon me, everything is all good with you and yours, and appreciate the time. I know we don't come first. You were doing some great things. Even though I ripped you for blowing us off, I feel even worse now after finding out what you were doing.
Yeah, there's a group that I work with. It's a group that works with fatherless boys. And I was getting some supplies over to them, and I left my phone in the car, and I was trying to make sure I explained what I wanted with a couple of books, because there's one kid that my wife and my daughter took an affinity to, and we wanted to make sure that he got these books specifically and read them to his 4-year-old brother. But taking over just resources people need right now: toilet paper, tissues. So a lot of these kids are coming from some really tough places in life. And so, my thing is just, I've been fortunate. I don't know what it's like to not have my dad. My dad's always been around for me. So, when I can help out the kids, man, that's what I'm trying to do in my own way, Eitan. So, anyway, I apologize to you and your
Please don't.
for not being there for you, but I'm here for you right now.
Brother, please don't. You have nothing to apologize at all for, and just thank you from a distance. And I'm sure there are many thousands of people who are thanking you firsthand down there for doing what you do beyond a pandemic hitting as well. So thank you for your service, first and foremost. Let's talk about the idea of the Philadelphia Eagles drafting a wide receiver out of TCU. Now, I credited you, gave me this nugget, and I ran with it up here and did a little research of my own. And I'm locked in now to this belief, Newy, that the Eagles have their eye on this young man and might even trade back to get him.
The Phillies already called head coach Gary Patterson about Jalen Reagor and their quarterback, Jeff Gladney. So these are two guys that the Eagles have talked about, and they called Coach Patterson about him. Baltimore also called Coach Patterson about him. So I've known, just a little background here. I've known Deshaun Jackson since he was a junior high kid. His brother worked with me at Channel 13 in LA. So I got to see him as a junior high kid, and it always was great. And his college bowl game ended up being played at TCU Stadium in Fort Worth when he was playing for Cal. And what a great second round pick. We all know it could have decided he went there and turned out to be a really, really fantastic football player. The great pick by the Eagles. Jalen Reagor represents basically so much of what everybody in Philly loved about Deshaun Jackson. He's a guy with tremendous speed, take the top off, who can help you in the return game. If you start looking at his highlights, if you look deep enough, you're going to see about 7 to 8 touchdowns this year. Where the quarterback just didn't get him the ball properly. The quarterbacking this year wasn't good in part because they had a freshman who was playing, and then they had a grad transfer from K-State. They just couldn't get Jalen the football. Jalen is playing for. If he's playing with Alabama and you put him in the Henry Ruggs position here and he's catching balls from pure, but you're talking about him more as a first-round pick, and you're saying, man, this guy's really good because he's going to have the production. He just didn't have it. It's not through his own fault. So to me, if you're Philly, you can stay at 21 and take Reagor all day long because I think he'll be there for them. I don't think there's any reason to move up. The only way to move up is if you're trying to get a Henry Ruggs type of player or a Jerry Jeudy. Not because the cost is going to be too much for Philadelphia to go do that.
All right, before we look at moving up, because the Niners have made it known now they're dangling 13. As far as staying at 21, do you think that the Eagles, or really any team in this situation, if they needed a wide receiver and the top 3 are off the board, I wonder if they would move back with and maybe it's 30 in Green Bay or 31 specifically with San Francisco, knowing they could get Reagor then and still maybe getting an extra 3rd or 4th round pick.
Look, you're talking about a receiver class that is deep. And I think smart teams at the top who may need a wide receiver are going to sit there and take something they may need, maybe an offensive tackle or a corner, and go get these receivers later on. I just think it's that deep. So could they move back and try to get Reagor? Sure, I could see that. I really could. But you don't want to go too far back because, like anyone in any good team in the draft, you're going to look at Reagor and see his skills and say, okay, hey, look, this is what we like about him. And if the scouts do enough proper research, and as I spoke about, how many balls did this kid not get because of the great, the quarterback play wasn't good, what he put in with someone like Carson Wentz who knows how to hit that kind of guy. So you can't go too bad. You can't go far too bad. And I'm a big believer in every time you go back, Eitan, you're leaving good players on the board.
Yeah.
And if you've got a guy you like, you think he fits you, go ahead and pull the trigger. Stop playing around here trying to, let's go get this pick and let's go get that pick. Because the guy you want, you may be too smart and too cute and not get who you want. So, in my opinion, if you think Reagor fits what you want to do, it can help make Carson Wentz a better quarterback. That's what all these picks need to be about offensively. How does it help make Carson a better player? That's what you need to do.
How much, we're chatting with Newy Scruggs at Newy Scruggs on Twitter, SB Nation Radio. It's the second level at Shander show for me. Was it overblown? Was it on point? Was it not dug in enough by local media? Dak Prescott and the violation of social distancing.
The biggest thing I criticize Dak for is not having better friends. I mean, how are your friends go sit around here and go take photos and sell them to TNT?
Have to go full Jeter on them.
Now, you're on the train, okay? These folks on the gravy train, and they're this ungrateful. They're going to sell you out like this here. It wasn't smart. And for me, if I'm trying to get $35 million a year, I'm not going to have anybody around here that may prevent me from getting my $35 million. I'm not checking no COVID-19. But I go back to this, Eitan. We talk to these guys. I talk to about Dak. I'm in my 40s. He's 26 years old. Zeke's 25 years old. These guys think they're invincible. And in some ways, maybe the best thing that happened to them was it got exposed because then the Joneses got on them, told don't do this again. And I'm sure somebody said, hey, you want your money? Well, we're not giving you no money. You laid up in a hospital coughing with some COVID-19. And hopefully, Von Miller's situation will wake these guys up to realize that you have to take this thing serious.
Absolutely, Newey. What are they going to do at 17?
They got to take a cornerback, or they got to take somebody up front in the line. So they have needs on both of them. Problem for the Cowboys as an organization, you start looking at this team from a standpoint of who's under contract for 2021. The defensive backfield, they only got one guy, Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown is not a number one corner here, but they're having more safeties under contract, so they got to fill that spot of the secondary, and then also up front, outside of Tank Lawrence, there's nobody there who's a difference maker that's going to be on the team long term. So it's going to be one of those two places right there where they go and address that football.
Any shot, and I go back to San Francisco kind of dangling 13. Is there any shot that Dallas moves up? Have they, in your opinion, or maybe you, identified a player that would be worthy of moving up?
They can't move up and trade up, especially if you're trying to get from 17 to 13, because when they sign Dak Prescott, they're going to be up against it with the cap. And so what they're going to have to do is not just draft players, they're going to draft players who hit and become starters pretty quickly. So if you're trying to move up, you're not good enough to be the Cowboys to give up a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick, because these are potentially players that can help you, and you have them under contract for in team-friendly deals. So I don't see any way the Cowboys can go trade up, because their cap situation is going to be really tight. And then you go back to the fact that Travis Frederick, sooner retired, they're going to have to break up his salary cap hits over the next 2 years.
Right.
So, no, I don't see them trading up. If anything, you could look to see them maybe trade down, because that's what they have done in the past, and Jerry Jones likes doing that. But I don't see any way they trade up to 13. If you trade up to 13, you got to be traded up for one of two players. All right, Javon Kinlaw, good tackle out of South Carolina, or you're trading up for C.J. Henderson of Florida. But I don't see him doing either one. And I do believe, depending on how this draft goes, in my opinion, anytime, if we see a run on tackles, that'll push some of the wide receivers down. And I think starting at 11, the Jets could start in there with Jerry Jeudy. And I see the Niners taking CeeDee Lamb at 13, and the Broncos taking Henry Ruggs at 15.
Thank you for ruining my night and taking the top 3 Philadelphia Eagles targets off the board. Newey, I love you, man. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you're doing. I have a minute, like a TV minute, not even a radio minute left. How much is Mike McCarthy? How much are his hands? I say I have a minute left. I can't even get the question out. How much are McCarthy's hands all over this draft?
McCarthy will have some. The Cowboys like listening to their guys, but look for Mike Nolan to play a big instrumental part in this, because the Cowboys going to make sure he gets the defensive guys that he needs to remake this team.
Thank you, sir.
You got it, buddy. Be well. Bye-bye.
At Newey Scruggs. Great follow on Twitter, NFL, and beyond. Fake news with Ron Culver next here on the Second Level.
Wake up call.
Ripping the Browns is kind of what old hat.
Yeah, that's old hat.
That
Everybody does it.
Can't do it anymore.
Buccaneers,
Not even fun.
You're now on our radar.
I got out at 23. All right.
Goes back to the glory days.
Glory days.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, you didn't think that was going to happen.
Scenario too.
Usually glory days means I got to sit down with somebody and have them reminisce.
My phone
Time
died,
before
and
mine.
it's since restarted and
Or that over the
been
top
plugged in.
And the skipper
And
brings out
it's been
Lou
stuck
Gehrig
on
out to the
3G
field,
for
and
like
look at him go
an
as he
hour
gets
and a
a home
half.
run, and the Yankees win it by a score of 3-2, beating those old Boston Red Stockings once again. That's what I mean by glory days. Or look at Billy Cannon run, the LSU superstar. Look at him smile as he scores another touchdown against Ole Miss. And Tiger fans cannot stand him any longer as they stand up and cheer for good old Billy Cannon. Like, that's what I mean by glory days. If Joe Buck's calling your game and that's what you consider glory days, it's not glory days.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom,
Yeah, Kevin,
check
he's
out the
down
brand new
in Dallas, and
AutomotiveMap.com.
he used to do a national radio show before NBC Sports Radio.
This is Straight Heat.
Kevin Durant went on the Old
But he's
Smoke
down in
podcast
Dallas. He's been doing
and
TV in
decided
Dallas
to tell
forever.
why
Not in LA,
he left
there with Sean.
Oklahoma City. in OKC, I played with a lot of athletes. I didn't play with a lot of skilled guys, not like shooters, ball handlers. I was like, I need to change. And this was before the season even started. I was tired of having to be the only guy that can make threes, make jump shots, and consistently win. This isn't, as much as he meant this as a put down to Russ and Ibaka and all the guys on that team, this is a put down on himself. He wasn't good enough to be the man, and he just told you so.
Straight Heat with Patrick Creighton. Weekdays from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
We don't know that 16 days from now, things might not be trending in a good direction. I'm going to continue to take the glass half full approach. I'm continuing to plan as if college football and pro football is going to happen in the fall, and that we're going to have the NBA by June at some point. I'm thinking by June, we're going to have NBA back and baseball will be up and running. We may be playing in front of empty gyms for a while. So be it.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Ron Culver has 4 stories. 3 of them are real. Now, as he did last week, the fake stories were all plots or bad plots to real movies. I don't know what you have in store this week, but I don't want to waste any more of your time.
Nah, I think we're going to leave the bad movie plots alone. I'm
Okay.
just going to see what the old brain can bring up to see if I can stump you.
Fair enough. This is a dangerous path you walk down relying on a brain, but I'm with you.
Hey, what are you trying to say?
Well, just in general. I would say,
In general,
yeah,
whose brain? My brain, your brain?
my brain. Use
Yeah,
my
I'm
brain
not,
first.
I'm not relying on your brain. I'm relying on my brain.
Good, good.
All right. Here we go. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Florida judge pleads with attorneys to put clothes on during Zoom hearings.
Well, how bad is your situation that somebody can see you're not wearing any clothes? And we're talking about a trial here? Is that safe to assume?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the newest thing. I mean, certain things have stopped, obviously, in our country, but there are still cases pending, and there are probably a few that don't need a jury, don't need to go to a courtroom, the traditional courtroom setting that we always see on TV.
Sure, like Law and Order. You better be going somewhere with this counselor.
Exactly. A lot of cases are done in an office. They just have,
Right.
They simply have a deposition,
Sure.
and everything's taken care of.
And then the judge
A
here.
judge
Right.
is present, and then they just, bam, you're done right there. So those type of hearings are still going on. They're just doing it over Zoom.
Yeah, but
same principle applies.
Are people wearing tank tops? I mean, is somebody wearing, like one of those undershirts?
I'm thinking some of them are just going shirtless. Maybe some of them are just wearing shorts. I don't know. I think the judge, I'm hoping that, if they're wearing shorts and a t-shirt, a judge is going to be like, okay, I get it.
Well, the problem, though, is that this is Florida. So that's the big variable in here.
Yes, it is,
And
isn't it?
yes, if somebody showed up naked to one of these things, I wouldn't
Would not
truly.
surprise.
No. All right. So story 1, Florida lawyers are naked on Zoom, or at least underdressed.
I'm thinking underdressed or maybe topless.
Okay.
Not the female lawyers, obviously.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, at the same time, they just rolling in and out, right out of bed, untossed, uncombed hair, teeth probably hadn't been brushed yet because, hey, let's face it, no one can smell your breath through Zoom.
Well, look, I slept in. I woke up early, really early this morning. I had to take the dog out. I had to take the trash cans out, a bunch of things for the house. Went back to sleep and crashed and overslept. So I'm wearing the exact same thing I was wearing last night for the evening show I do on Sunday night, 6 to 9 Eastern. So if anybody watched the stream last night and is watching the stream tonight, it's pretty easy to determine that I have not showered. But I have brushed my teeth. At the very least.
You got it.
Okay. All right. So that's story one.
Story number 2, Dr. Fauci.
Oh, he's back?
Has already had his likeness on socks and donuts. Now he's getting his very own bobblehead.
Okay. First off, I am anti-bobblehead. And I have 2 on the Twitch stream to show and illustrate how anti of a bobblehead I am. I have Jake Elliott, who is the Eagles kicker. And I have Gritty with a mic flag over his head. It's my ironic version of it. But with that said, I don't know. Where are you going to put the Fauci bobblehead? Who's buying this?
Amongst your collection of bobbleheads.
Okay, but what's next?
If you're buying Fauci socks and Fauci donuts, wouldn't you want a Fauci bobblehead?
I guess a Fauci donut is like any donut you get with a team logo. I can get a donut from Dunkin' Donuts with a Sixers logo on it. I'm still going to eat it, right? Socks with Fauci? Really?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You got to have some remembrance of COVID-19.
I survived COVID-19, and all I got was a pair of Fauci socks.
There you go.
I smell a t-shirt.
That's going to be your t-shirt.
I love it. All right. So the story 2 is, what is it now? The Fauci bobblehead.
Fauci bobblehead.
All right. Already believable. Next.
Story number 3, the Kenyan government has employed members from the Maasai tribe to whip people who are not obeying the country's shelter-in-place laws.
Now, the Maasai tribe that you referenced, they come from giants, from a very tall group of people. If you go back into anthropology,
wow, you know a lot more about this tribe than I do.
Well, absolutely, and
I just know they put CDs in their lips.
Well, CDs like actual, not like a CD in your Bank of America account.
Yeah, I'm talking about the ones that you played. You want to throw DVD? We can throw DVD.
All right, DVD's fine too. It's the same circumference, is it not?
Pretty much.
So they've been employed to whip people who are not adhering to social distancing?
Yes.
Man, don't you think it would hurt more to get whipped by somebody who's 6'8" than it would be by 5'8"? Or does height not factor in on this?
Yeah. No, I don't think it matters. I'll put it to you this way. Would you rather get whipped by Vern Troyer or Manute Bol?
I don't know if it matters.
I think it does.
Just because you're a short person doesn't mean you can't generate power with your sense.
I know, but you can definitely. There's a lot more.
I guess leverage,
speed.
Right? Yeah, you're right. Arm speed
coming down.
Gravity too that you're leveraging.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're right. This is so this, if true, would actually be a pretty big deterrent.
Put it this way: I would much rather get towel snapped by my 3-year-old than my 12-year-old.
Okay, when you put it like that, that makes sense. 12-year-old who was able to watch the mature version, mind you,
yes,
of The Last Dance.
Yes.
Okay, fourth story.
Even though large gatherings are largely prohibited throughout our country, people are still finding ways to celebrate the time-honored tradition of Dingus Day.
What isn't Dingus somebody on a television show? Wasn't Dingus a character on?
Was he?
Like one of those awful shows, like The Middle or something like that?
I don't know if it was.
Wait a second. Dingus was on. Was it Boy Meets World?
Was that what it was?
Minkus. Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Minkus. What's Dingus Day?
Dingus Day is the day after Easter Sunday, which is usually celebrated with large parties.
Is that normal? So this is something that's
it's a Eastern Christianity, Eastern Orthodox Church.
Okay, but it's had to
celebrate Dingus Day.
Now it's all virtual, or it's been postponed.
It's got to be virtual because you can't have large gatherings today.
All right, look, if people are doing virtual happy hours, if you're subscribing to these on Zoom and other video platforms, then you can do a virtual dingus, right? I don't think that's asking too much to have a virtual dingus.
I think you can do a virtual dingus.
Is there anything that you lose by having your dingus virtual as opposed to real?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Think about that. If you are sacrificing something real for a virtual dingus, then maybe there is going to be some blowback, as opposed to just open acceptance of we need to move Dingus Day to virtual as opposed to continuing to risk our health.
I'm just thinking of how fantastic is Dingus Day today with 420.
Yeah, you're right. This is a perfect storm for a lot of people.
Saying.
All right, so I'm going to ask you that coming up. Let's look at this, though. The 4 stories. Florida lawyers are wearing
pantless.
Let's
just assume, right?
Yeah, but how? That was the first question I had when we opened this thing up. Pantless. Where is your camera that you're able to see a full body shot
on your lap?
Oh, all right. Florida lawyers, Fauci bobblehead, the 6'8" whippers in Kenya, and the last story here. Oh man, this is tough. These are good. I have to be honest.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm gonna say, wow. I'm gonna say the Fauci bobblehead only because I don't think we're at that point yet. I can believe that a government would say, let's get the biggest badasses that we can find to facilitate, if you will, our version of martial law. I can see that last story actually playing out with Dingus, especially because everything has been virtual. But I'm going back and forth just because of the cameras and how stupid somebody can be if they're not wearing pants to not check ahead of time. Now, Twitch is telling me it's 4. I get a bunch of people on Twitch telling me 4-4. The last story, Dingus Day. I'm going to go against the audience and say Fauci bobblehead.
Well, I'm glad you went against the audience because the audience is wrong. But so are you.
Are you going to tell us or are you going to make us wait?
No, I'll tell you. The fake story was the Maasai tribe.
Oh, now where'd you pull that one? You just pulled it out of your head?
No, I kind of switched tribes.
What was the tribe in question?
Brazilian gangs.
You even switched continents, you sneaky guy.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage.
That was good, man.
Yeah. Now it is true. The Brazilian gangs, they weren't employed by the government. They took it upon themselves, saying, "Hey, if you're out and about at night, we will shoot you dead."
Unbelievable. If you think that now is the right time to refinance
that wasn't a rumor.
No, that was true.
But the Florida pantless lawyers are true.
Yeah, I don't know how that's even possible.
I don't know either. And I don't know if they're pantless. I just know that a judge has constantly had to remind his lawyers to put clothes on.
743-7254. You may be at increased risk.
Do you have an area in Florida or is it just
colorectal and lung cancer?
I'll let you know. Hold on.
To a compensation.
Yeah, but
call for a free review of your
I
case
thought it was
at
Fauci too, guy. I can't believe it. 4.
Fauci's getting his own bobblehead.
Unbelievable.
That the manufacturer of Belviq withdraw the drug from the market due to cancer findings. Call so that we can fight for a compensation to cover your medical bills and more. If you've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, colorectal, or lung cancer after using the weight loss drug Belviq or Belviq XR, call the Belviq Advocates now for a free consultation. You may be owed a significant compensation. Call 1-888-743-7254. 1-888-743-7254. That's 1-888-743-7254. Consult your physician prior to discontinuing use of any medication. Results may vary.
At CDW, we get your organization can be demanding.
I know. The marketing team's outside my office. They want their Adobe update now.
With Adobe's Value Incentive Plan, deployed by the experts at CDW, you can quickly and easily manage software subscriptions for the whole team.
On Acrobat and Creative Cloud.
All included.
Cool. Guys, I'm coming out. Don't hurt me.
For a satisfied digital workforce, you need Adobe and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Adobe.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics.
I'm not, Kevin. I'm going to put out something for Philly's Voice this week.
Just text Maine
about
to
wide
321
receivers.
321
Maybe
to
even
get a
talk about
complimentary
later.
bottle of award-winning
And what
Nugenics.
Newey
the
said.
number one
I don't
selling
know.
testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting
Try
formula
to
is
do
powered
it
by
somewhat
testosterone.
different, but also
That's the
recognize that I
ingredient
kind of have to talk about it
help
as
a man
well.
feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenics samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text MAIN to 321-321. That's MAIN to 321-321.
scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Three things on the NFL. We'll jam in the next 6 or 7 minutes, and then something to throw at you just to kind of remind you and illustrate to you just how necessary and lucky and fortunate we were for ESPN to ramp up the airing of The Last Dance that we got last night. Now I get it, you have to wait a week, but if I can sit and wait a week for HBO to ruin one of my favorite shows in Westworld, then you can sit and wait a week for Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson, and anything else that's coming our way down the line here. The Niners, we talked about this in the first hour. It opens it up more than just my Philadelphia Eagles, I promise. The Niners are going to make a trade. It's going to happen in the first round. It's either going to be at 13 or at 31. And it might be a run, which I believe and kind of expect it to happen, a run on wide receivers. And it might simply just open up a run, one team moving up. But nobody's trading up to 13 to draft Love or Herbert, for that matter, if they're still on the board, Herbert himself. Nobody's doing that right now. Maybe for a cornerback, but it's not going to happen for an offensive tackle or anybody else, even linebacker, pass rusher, as much as you could make an argument for one team. You're going to need at least another partner involved. You're going to need 3 total teams to drive it up. Otherwise, a squad's going to look at that, San Francisco specifically, and say, well, there's no drive. There's no real need to push this thing back. There's no real driving force that is basically directing us saying, if we can't draft some, or if we can't trade out, then we have to do something and just find a team no matter what, meaning if we couldn't leverage that trade out. That's what I meant to say to get out. The other thing that happened kind of rapidly, and this was, I think, over the span of maybe 2 or 3 days, to look at maybe a future of whether or not Leonard Fournette opens up the season as a member of the Jags. I mean, think about 3 days in the life of Leonard Fournette. He comes out and openly campaigns at the end of last week for his team in Jacksonville, which we already know is doing everything they can to tank, which is a little bit of a different definition in the NFL as it is maybe in other sports like the NBA. But they're doing that. They're going NFL tank mode this year, hopefully for their purposes, getting somebody like Trevor Lawrence the following season, which might strike a chord on anybody thinking that the Jags are in play for a quarterback this year, either in the draft or free agent. Now, Cam Newton's out there. We know Cam is still out there. So here's Leonard Fournette with the suggestion. Hey, guys, why don't you go out and sign Cam Newton? Probably a good thing to do. You know, you could still help this team. We may not be as bad as we appear if you go out and get Cam. It can make my life easier, your life easier, coach, general, everybody's life just a little bit easier. All right, Leonard, that's a pretty good suggestion. Let's sit down. Let's digest this. We'll tell you what you think. And if you've ever emailed, sat down, texted, voiced in a suggestion, something that you know could work, and you get the typical, well, we just need to digest it and we'll let you know what we think. It's not a bad suggestion, but we'll just let you know what we think. And then what happens? The response. I know maybe Leonard was a little pushy. I didn't hear back in 12 hours. Let me text. Nothing still. Let me push it a little further. Come on. Doug Marrone, can you at least respond to my text about going out and signing Cam? And the response you get is, we appreciate your input, sir, but we're now looking to trade you to another company. That is as typical as it gets in that corporate ladder, right? Instead of you wouldn't get traded, it would be something far worse. That's now what we have in a span of, 3 days. Suggesting to sign Cam Newton effectively put Fournette on the trading block. Now you look a little deeper and you realize that the Jags are mulling over picking up his 5th-year option, and that certainly factors in to trading Fournette or wanting to trade Fournette. But you can't write the comedy of it as far as the chronology of it. You cannot look at that and think anything else, at least on the surface, which is stop suggesting stuff. This team is trying to tank, not get any better. Finally, the NFL has put out a list of what you can and can't do, pretty much what you can't do when it comes to prohibited apparel guidelines for the stay-at-home draft. Pro Football Talk put this out, and they have the full 15, I think it is, things that jump. Now, I sent this to you, Ron, ahead of time. There's one thing that I thought was rather interesting. And again, I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I thought it would be worth kind of looking at. Was there anything on this list of 15 things that you can't do according to the NFL like what you can't have on your gear that jumped out at you? And if there's nothing, that's fine. This isn't a trick question. I'm not trying to extract something.
No.
I have something ready to go with you, don't.
2 and 15 almost seem similar to me.
Derogatory statements regarding the NFL, its owners, employees, and or NFL partners is 15. Number 2 would be disparaging depictions of the NFL or any third-party brands. Absolutely.
I think it was just trying to drive the point home is they came up with these and they got to 2. And then, they went through the entire list and someone said, but what if they just put words on a page?
Yep.
On a t-shirt.
And you had to go back and say, well, let's reinforce 2, but we'll reword it and trap everyone. Right.
And make sure that everyone knows we mean business. Don't say bad things about our beloved Commissioner Roger Goodell.
All right. So the one that I thought was, and you're right, that does seem odd when you look at it because it's basically the same exact thing as 2. But it's, I guess, there to reinforce and maybe catch any extra shrapnel that might get through. 8, to me, is interesting because I feel like 8, which is political statements, it can go either way, right?
Well, we already saw how much Garth Brooks got in trouble for wearing a Bernie Sanders jersey this year.
Exactly right. Now, I feel like you should be able, as a future draftee, and look, I don't care about anybody's politics because I don't subscribe to politics, and people find that offensive in its own right. That's fine. But but I also don't come down on people who want to go and partake in whichever side they associate with. But why can't you wear with it bleeped out, of course, like why couldn't you wear a bleep Trump shirt or a MAGA hat? Like, why couldn't you wear either one of those? Is the NFL trying, and I'm asking, is the NFL trying to...
They're just trying to stay PC.
Huh.
To avoid controversy. Because the NFL, I think that's what it is. The NFL gets enough controversy by itself that you don't just need to add added controversy of, let's just throw, a MAGA hat.
Well, look, if Joey Bosa wanted to wear a MAGA hat, or if fill in the blank at Malcolm Jenkins, and I'm going back right to when he was drafted, wanted to wear, don't trust it hat, with Trump's head on it. I don't care either way. It's not impacting their sway. I'm not voting because I saw Joey Bosa's hat or Malcolm Jenkins' hat. But I guess to your point about controversy, the NFL is so good at maneuvering through the lanes and avenues and rivers that they dig themselves, right? Like, yes, I get it. This is an easy one. And that's why I brought it up and referenced it, because it's an easy one to point at and say, come on, Shander, a MAGA hat or whatever the opposite version of that would be is going to incite and get people upset and pissed off. And you don't want that. But at the same time, just look at what happened with the kneeling controversy that they created. This wasn't a controversy until the NFL created. Look at discipline issues that the NFL, in hindsight, always gets caught with their metaphorical pants down. It just seems like the NFL always walks this line where the left foot is, hey, let's get ahead of something and let's be PC savvy and let's put something out so we at least get it out there to make sure that we're not offending, upsetting, or ruffling any feathers. And then that right foot, it's like what you referenced in the break, Touchstone to Disney. That right foot is the R-rated stuff, which is we're just going to come down and we're just going to swing with a heavy hammer and let people figure it out on social media and beyond. I do think that it was an interesting jump on that. But again, people may look at that and think it's a simple one to just avoid and say, come on, dude, you don't need to wear that hat, fill in the blank hat. Just thought it was worthy bringing up because you've got 15 of them. And outside of the obvious, which is don't rip the NFL. Like, don't wear a T-shirt ripping the NFL, the league that you're about to be a part of, or don't wear a T-shirt that says same old Browns if you get drafted by the Bengals.
I mean, does that really have to be said, the disparaging things about the NFL? I mean, think about it, like last job interview you ever had?
Right.
Did you walk in just going, bleep this company?
Yeah. Never.
Right? I mean,
never.
Has that ever crossed your mind?
No.
To go into a job interview where you're hoping to get drafted, or you finally get drafted, you put on a hat that just says, has the NFL logo upside down.
Right.
Maybe
Something
they're
horrific.
talking about the infamous Roger Goodell clown face T-shirt. They don't want them wearing that.
I think so. Yeah. They was it the Simmons or the Barstool, whatever who created that.
Are they going to care? Because so far I've seen a couple interviews, especially with Scott Van Pelt. Seen a couple interviews already where they haven't really cared about whether or not these guys are wearing shirts.
Right.
Is that judge in Florida going to contact them and go, hey, listen, guys, act like you've been here before. Act like it's a real draft. Maybe you should be wearing a suit.
The NFL does have him on retainer. So that's just a quick text.
By the way, that judge was out of Broward County.
Broward County. Okay.
Yeah, and he had an issue. He had
Which
a couple
makes sense.
issues. Had a couple issues because one of the lawyers did show up with no shirt on. Another lawyer, she failed to get out of bed completely.
Oh my goodness. I love
So
it.
she was doing her deposition laying in bed with the cover still over her.
I love it, man. North Miami. This is it. Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood.
Yeah,
This
it's a pretty big county.
Yeah.
It's well populated. It's not,
This is amazing.
It's not in the middle of Florida in the sticks of Florida.
No,
if
no.
there are sticks in Florida.
All right, I want you to think of this real quick. Before we get out of here, I told you we'd put this little hierarchy out. And just think of what the odds-on favorite would be. We're taking away The Last Dance, and we're forcing you to watch one. You can only choose one of these three events that actually happened. These three are real. This is not fake news. I didn't create something. I didn't pull it off a bad movie plot. This all happened over the weekend, really back into the extension of the end of last week. So these are your three options. And let's look at it not only from what you personally would want, but what you think the country would choose. I'll give you the three options. We'll talk about this as we wrap the hour next. First was the Major League Eating Quarantine Challenge. First round, 2 pounds of bologna. Second round, 48 Oreos and a half gallon of milk. Second option, horse. The final edition of horse. It all came down to this. And the third, the WNBA. There was a draft. It was the WNBA draft. And you know what? Nobody hacked any team. Shocker. We'll wrap the hour next on The Second Level.
Wake up call.
What'd you make of the president?
I assume you
getting
didn't
asked
watch
about
the
your-
WNBA draft.
No, but I was going to ask you this question. Can I answer the question based on what I know?
Yes.
That how it turned out.
Yes.
And then that way I give you my decision.
Sure, you have the benefit of hindsight. That's fine. We can do that.
I'll go with the benefit of hindsight on this one. No.
Yes,
Joe
Mike, I'm still
Exoticus.
doing that.
Everybody knows.
One of the
Wake
odds
Up Call
Mondays
with
and
Tony
Wednesdays,
B
6
and
to
Ron
10.
Culver. Weekday mornings. Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
Brett Murphy from Stadium joining us here on Pushing the Odds. What are you hearing from athletic directors and coaches about their preparations for what may or may not happen coming up this fall?
As far as the athletic directors, I mean, they've got a number of contingency plans, whether that starts in late August as scheduled or maybe even gets pushed back to the spring. The NFL to play football does not need to bring back 40,000 students on campus. College football does. But I just think it's very unrealistic that all of these major university presidents will feel confident enough to say, you know what, to all of our students all over the world, it's now safe to come back on campus and take
It's such a crazy contrast, Ron, because the local show I do, the clock, we basically have a floating clock all hour. So
maybe as late as Memorial Day.
the breaks are really short, so we have to add in, like a couple of stuff to make it like a 3-4 minute break. And
If business, pleasure, or
the
sports fandom
segments,
takes it to
I'll
Houston,
run a
Dallas,
segment like
Austin,
25, 30
San Antonio,
minutes because I'll have,
check out
2 or 3 things in there and be able to space it and
from the
stuff.
best restaurants, bars,
And
pubs,
it's just,
clubs
it's
to the
ridiculous
biggest
how
sights and sounds
fast
the city has to offer. Culture Map has
10
it
minutes
all.
goes.
Just head over to culturemap.com.
Like,
The
I
expert
can't
team
even-
personally reviews and visits
crazy.
each spot to make sure you
I
get
look
the
up
best
and it's
experience.
50.
And if you're coming back, sign up for
Or
free Culture
20,
Map
or I
updates
guess
at
22.
culturemap.com.
I know. It happens way too fast.
Yeah.
Like you feel like it was just 5 minutes ago that you were talking to Newey.
I'm telling you, especially when we have a guest in the second hour with the fake news segment and a guest. It's insane how fast the show goes.
into this insurance. They're going to collect over $100 million from the
Even the
insurance
weekend,
policy.
with
How
the
much
third
easier
hour,
was
it's
it for them to cancel the tournament.
There are a lot of times where I'll leave an hour open,
because I thought it was grass. Thought it was
and it doesn't matter. It's just, I think how it's set. Like I never feel like, oh my god, 10 minutes. How are we gonna fill 10,
Little did I
12
know
minutes?
that this was an easy decision to cancel this bad boy and collect themselves $100+ million.
Just because I meant because of the
we
clock.
won't be having
how it's set.
Wimbledon this year. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Great. The ayes have it. Anybody want to process that claim?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
Matt Perrault pushing the odds comes your way next on SB Nation Radio, SBNationRadio.com, and the SB Nation Radio app gave Ron and the country 3 options. This is it. We took away The Last Dance, and you only have 3 options when it comes to sport-related content. A bunch of people on YouTube racing to see who can eat food fast, the horse final, or the WNBA draft. Now, let's start with you, Ron. And you asked in the break, do you have the benefit of hindsight? Yes.
Yes.
You do. You have the benefit.
Now that I have the benefit of hindsight.
Now, I want 2 things from you. One, what you would do, but really also what you think the country, like what would be the odds-on favorite for both the Culver House and the rest of the nation?
Well, the odds-on favorite, I think, would be ESPN's horse.
This is the final, though. We already know how bad it's been.
I know. I know how everyone knowing how bad it is. I think they would, given the 3 options, I think people would tune into that. Now, for me, at the benefit of hindsight, I would go in this order: WNBA draft, Major League, yes, Major League Eating Contest, and then ESPN televising horse. The reason why I say the WNBA draft, and I'm watching the first 20 minutes of it. Or do I have to sit through the whole thing?
No, you are full on committed, sir. Yes, you can't bail. This is not like your kid walking in and out of the Last Dance.
Because you know why I would watch the first 20 minutes of it?
Because I'm sure somebody who's really attractive is either getting drafted or part of it. I thought some superficial reason.
The first part of the WNBA was they hand out 3 honorary draftees, or to have 3 honorary draft picks. Then that was Gigi Bryant.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the other 2 girls' names.
Okay.
And then I would want to watch the first overall pick because that was obviously, and everyone knew it was going to be Sabrina Ionescu.
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know the draft was going on. Does that make me a bad?
No, I didn't know the draft was going on either. But once I saw that Sabrina Ionescu was trending and found out that, it's because she was the number 1 pick by the New York Liberty. And her New York Liberty jersey sold out within an hour.
What's her name? Sonia?
Sabrina Ionescu.
Who's more popular, Sabrina Ionescu or Sonia Thomas?
Probably Sabrina Ionescu, especially because she was the one who was best friends with Kobe Bryant and had really taken a liking to Gigi.
Well, see, I can't. Okay, I was going to make light of the whole thing, but now I can't. Thank you for
I'm saving your
preventing
behind then. Okay, what are your 3 then?
Well, I would just swap the top 2. I think people have been so put off by horse
that I couldn't watch it.
They'd rather see somebody stuff their mouth with Oreos at this point than watch another blown left-handed layup. I do think that the WNBA, and now that you added all of that in there, would probably get a higher vote. So for me personally, I would swap the 2, but I think you're right. I think the nation would choose the WNBA draft, and it's unfair. Not to say that they shouldn't have done it, but I'm saying when you compare the other 2, like there's no Kobe Bryant tribute to the Major League Eating Quarantine Challenge. And I don't think that would. Well, yeah, but I don't think that would be. That doesn't bring anybody in, does it?
He was a healthy guy, so I don't know what.
No,
or do you think they just do everything by 24 in 8 seconds?
How fast could you eat 24 Oreos, Ron?
Not in 8 seconds.
We're back on Tuesday. We'll try and go out to Cincinnati. There might be a story with the Giants brewing as well. Thank you, man. That was great.